It just seems like I'm getting my head around the alla prima approach. I'm not condemning it because I'm not a trade expert, but I still, at some point, and I understand that you are the trade rep. So if you own this decision, then I'll look to you to figure out if we're going to be successful. If you don't own the decision, I'm just trying to figure out whose throat I get to choke. If it's wrong.
Trump advisor Peter Navarro, according to Elon Musk, that's the person who Senator Thom Tillis should choke out if the Trump tariff policies end up failing, because the internal battle between Elon Musk and Trump advisor Peter Navarro escalated even more today, with Elon basically slinging insults all over his platform, X. And we're gonna get to that in just a minute, but Cenk, dirty. I thought we were the only ones who were dealing with infighting on X, but no.
So look, as we predicted and everybody said wasn't gonna happen, there's massive infighting, right? So Elon Musk versus Peter Navarro. I think it's interesting who's right, but that's a different question. The thing we're asking in the live chat, watch the show by the way, every day at 6 o'clock Eastern, is who's gonna win? Who's Trump gonna side with, Elon Musk or Peter Navarro? For now, it's been Navarro, but Elon's trying to make a comeback. We're gonna tell you all about it. And I asked a question on X, who's more right on tariffs? Because Elon and Trump disagree. And I'll tell you which way people are voting, Musk or Trump. So all of this is super interesting, but let's tell you about the fight first.
So look, Musk began attacking Peter Navarro, who is very much an evangelist when it comes to tariffs. He's the real deal in regard to actually supporting the idea of implementing these steep tariffs on our trade partners. I don't think he's making it up. He's got a long history of being supportive of tariffs. Now, Elon Musk, not a fan of tariffs. I think for obvious reasons. First of all, after Trump announced his tariff policy during Liberation Day, stocks plummeted, Elon Musk's wealth dropped by the billions. And on top of that, his business really does require parts, for instance, from foreign manufacturers in order to assemble Teslas, even here in the United States. If you slap a tariff onto those car parts, obviously it's going to cut into Tesla's profits. So he hates the tariffs. Now, Navarro, somewhat to his credit, actually has not been attacking Elon Musk the same way. His jabs have been a little more subtle. I'll give you an example.
When it comes to tariffs and trade, we all understand in the White House, and the American people understand, that Elon's a car manufacturer, but he's not a car manufacturer, he's a car assembler in many cases. If you go to his Texas plant, a good part of the engines that he gets, which in the EV case is the batteries, come from Japan and come from China. The electronics come from Taiwan. The tires come. What we want, and the difference is in our thinking and Elon's on this, we want the cars manufactured here.
Okay, so he basically says, look, Elon Musk's got his own interests. Here's what the Trump administration wants to do, which is sweet. I mean, Peter Navarro appears to be under the assumption that Trump and the administration in general is actually going to implement permanent tariffs against our trade partners, when really this is a ploy to renegotiate trade deals, and honestly nothing more. That's the way I see it so far, but I'll be happy to be proven wrong, I guess. We'll wait and see what happens. Now, Elon Musk responded to that clip that we just showed you with, Navarro is truly a moron. What he says here is demonstrably false. And then he says Tesla has the most American-made cars. Navarro is dumber than a sack of bricks. Now, look, it is true. Tesla, out of all the car companies, is I think one of two that mostly manufactures their vehicles here domestically, and that's admirable. I think that is a good thing. I think Elon Musk deserves some credit there, but he does use foreign-made parts, and so the tariffs would, of course, hurt his business. Now, Cenk, real quick, I want to kind of go to you to get your thoughts on what Musk says about Navarro being completely wrong. What do you think?
Yeah, so God, this is so wonderfully nuanced. I know some others don't like nuance. I love nuance.
Me too.
So first off, can tariffs work? Navarro's generally right about that. Can nuclear tariffs like the one Navarro drew up here work? No, I don't think he can. Is Elon Musk concerned about this because he has some of his car parts outside the country and these tariffs affect him? Yes, Navarro's right about that. But is our Teslas in a sense, the most American-made cars? Yes. And Elon is right about that, and Navarro is wrong about that, right? So it's not clear cut, it's not black and white, it's not good guys, bad guys in that sense. I happen to disagree with both of them overall politically. I think on tariffs, Elon is more correct. But Navarro's not wrong to point out, hey, Elon's got skin in this game. This cost him billions of dollars. That's why he's opposed to it. So in a sense, they're both right and they're both wrong, depending on which exact question you're asking.
Now let's put that second post from Elon back up, because I want you to notice one of the hashtags. So one of the hashtags is, or he tagged, I should say, I find regards. Okay, it's a slur, he uses a slur.
Yeah.
And so he's tagging them on this post about Navarro. Mario Nafal then posted, Tesla exposes Navarro lie, most American-made cars in US are all Elon's, with a list from cars.com showing Teslas are the most American-made cars, to which Elon responded, Peter. So look, in response to Musk calling Peter Navarro dumber than a sack of bricks, White House spokesperson Karoline Leavitt tried to basically dismiss the fighting, saying, whatever, we are the most transparent administration in history, expressing our disagreements in public. I'm actually fine with that statement. She even weighed in on it after a reporter asked during her press conference today. Let's take a quick look at that.
Musk actually referred to Navarro today as being, quote, dumber than a sack of bricks. Are you at all, or is the administration, the president, all concerned that this is maybe impacting the public's understanding of these tariffs? It might be messing with the message on it?
No, look, these are obviously two individuals who have very different views on trade and on tariffs. Boys will be boys, and we will let their public sparring continue. And you guys should all be very grateful that we have the most transparent administration in history. And I think it also speaks to the president's willingness to hear from all sides, that he has people at the highest levels of this government in this White House who have very diverse opinions on very diverse issues, but the president takes all opinions in mind and then he makes the best decision based on the best interests of the American public.
So look, people were losing their minds about that because she said boys will be boys. I actually like that it's all out in the open. It's good content.
Yeah. I mean, like I could nitpick and go, I don't like that, whatever, right? And etc. But overall, no, I totally agree with that. So would I prefer that they're publicly saying, hey, I believe this and the other one believes that? And by the way, we're both advising the president. That's not such a bad thing. Like Democrats bury all disagreement and then they come out and say, you have to listen to whatever the Democratic leader said. Honor unity, everybody obey and comply. No one's allowed to disagree. Well, and by the way, the right wing was famous for that for a long time, right? So the fact that these guys actually do disagree and they're both advising, yeah, I think that is a good thing. And at least he's hearing both sides. So not guilty on that.
Being open to dissent, is a good thing within an administration and within a party, if you ask me. So just, this is a bit of a tangent, I apologize, but just think about what happened in the lead up to the presidential election in 2024. You have all these Democrats who are close to Biden, who were fully aware of his mental decline, but they're so afraid to speak out against one of their own that they just kind of go along with it until it was too late. Okay, Representative Clyburn, according to that book Fight that just came out, I've been reading it. He was invited to allegedly dozens of swanky debate watch parties that he turned down because he knew about Biden's mental decline and he wanted to watch the debate alone in case he needed to cry.
Oh my God, but think about that, guys. Think about that, because that means Clyburn, who's actually one of the worst people in American politics, who's the most corporate, I can go on, and by the way, has helped Republicans more than any other Democrat, gave them extra seats in South Carolina to protect his own seat. He's such a terrible guy, okay? And was the #1 opponent of Nina Turner and Bernie Sanders, etc. So Clyburn knew definitively that Biden had dementia and was in such terrible shape that the debate was going to be a disaster. But meanwhile, publicly, before and after the debate, he's like, no, Biden's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
He should stay in the race and be president for another 4 years. That's the kind of liar Representative Clyburn is.
I know, but it's not just about Clyburn, right? I'm talking about the culture within the Democratic Party that led to its demise. So it's good to have dissent within your party and within an administration, because hopefully those fights could lead to the best possible, policies or solution. Jury's out when it comes to what's happening right now with the tariffs policy, obviously. Now, putting that aside, in response to Musk calling Navarro dumber than a sack of bricks, you heard what White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt had to say. Now, in one of Elon Musk's posts attacking Navarro, something really interesting came up. By any definition whatsoever, Tesla is the most vertically integrated auto manufacturer in America with the highest percentage of US content. Navarro should ask the fake expert he invented, Ron Vara. Okay.
I love this part.
So what Musk is referencing at the end of that post is actually something Navarro did do. He used a fictional trade expert by the name of Ron Vara, an anagram of his last name, in his books to promote his trade policy.
He had a dozen quotes from here. I'll read the rest because I love this part of the story.
So crazy.
Although I'm going with the pronunciation Ron Vara. Who's right? No one knows because he's made up. Okay, he put them in real books as if he had real quotes. So here, Ron Vara has appeared as a cryptic voice of economic wisdom more than a dozen times in 5 of Navarro's 13 books, dispensing musings like, "You gotta be nuts to eat Chinese food," and quote, "Only the Chinese can turn a leather sofa into an acid bath, a baby crib into a lethal weapon, and a cell phone battery into a heart-piercing shrapnel." Okay, well, by the way, he said in the book that this guy has a degree in economics from Harvard and was a reservist who served in Iraq. I mean, made up significant details about this fictional character. And here's another quote from the legendary Ron Vara: "Ride the stock market cycle or be run over." What is this? Are we sure this is Ron Vara and not Ron Burgundy? Okay, and then here's another one: "The manufacturing dragon is voracious, the colonial dragon is relentless, the American eagle is asleep at the wheel." And here's another one. No, this is the, hold on, we're gonna get another one is, "Do you know what San Diego means in German?" All right, now we found our own expert. And he says if Ron Vara has a degree in economics, it's in home economics because he's cooked. That's Kensi Guru, our expert. You won't be able to figure out who Kensi Guru is.
Okay, so look, Navarro went to Harvard. He has a PhD in economics from Harvard. He's quoting himself, basically. He's the expert.
Of course, we know, but he doesn't tell his audience that. And these are not joke books.
That's
and they reached out to 2 of his co-authors and they're like, no, we didn't know that Ron Vara was a made-up fictional character. They were writing real books about economics and politics.
It got published. I want to know how the hell that got published.
Oh my God, my book was fact-checked a bajillion times.
Yeah, I know.
Right, we've got like 30 pages of endnotes. And right-wingers can come in, Ron Vara says this. And they're like, no need to check, let's go.
But the thing that sucks is, look, I'm not a fan of Navarro's, but I really loathe the person you're about to hear from, okay? He was tasked with dismantling the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau under Trump's first term. He actually succeeded in doing away with some of the regulations pertaining to the loan sharks and payday lenders who basically push Americans into bankruptcy at their most desperate times. I'm talking about Mick Mulvaney. Here's what he has to say about Navarro. Let's watch.
Peter Navarro, who went to prison for the president, does he need to be fired?
I would have fired him a long time. I would have fired him when he got caught making up his academic sources for his papers with his Ron Vara imaginary friend. But I mean, that was Donald Trump's call then. It's Donald Trump's call now. I think folks watching this show are caring more about what is the policy of the White House? What is the policy on tariffs? What does the future hold on this? And Peter Navarro is not a reliable source for information about that.
I really dislike Mick Mulvaney, so I'm on Peter Navarro's side on this one.
That's how we're making the decision. But by the way, in all seriousness, Trump is so lucky with his enemies. He runs against the establishment twice to win, right?
Yeah.
And it was strategic of him to pick that as an enemy, even though he didn't mean it in terms of being a populist. And now he has enemies like Mick Mulvaney and Bill Ackman and the disgusting billionaire owner of Home Depot, Ken Langone, came out against him. That's the guy who set up Elliot Spitzer and laughed about it.
That guy looks like a monster.
Yeah, and I'm like, man, with enemies like that, you don't need friends. So stop putting those billionaires on TV. They're hurting our cause. Yeah. So, all right, now I want to get to our polls. So on X, I asked, so Elon Musk and Donald Trump disagree on tariffs. That's definitely true. Elon tried to get Trump to change his mind and couldn't in the beginning. Who's more right, Elon Musk or Donald Trump? Interesting, 50 so far with over 3,600 votes.
You know what?
56% say Elon Musk is right, and only 44% say Donald Trump is right. But now let's put up that live chat again. Now, who will Trump ultimately side with is a different question. We're asking the live chat. 53 Navarro, 47 Elon Musk. Look, I'm as flummoxed as you guys are. So in terms of who's he gonna go with, I think that in the beginning he's going with, well, we know in the beginning he's going with Navarro, not Musk, right? But I think in the end, he's gonna go with the billionaires. And so I think that Elon, so in the first poll, I think Elon is right about the tariffs. And in the second poll, the one in the live chat, I think eventually Elon's side will win.
We'll see.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.